Cinco de Mayo. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you guys can tell, it's Cinco de Mayo. A little late, but still there. Take it all in, let me get close to you. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I hope you guys had a awesome Cinco de Mayo and ate some tacos. Yeah, happy late day of May, of the 5th. Capiche? Capiche. Do you guys like my braids? When I was a kid, let me tell you something. Okay, when I was a kid, growing up, I used to dance ballet folklorico. My mom was a teacher. She was a teacher. And I got in trouble a lot. And looking back, I'm ashamed of myself and how I acted and behaved. But that just happens when your mom is a teacher, and when she picks on you. Yeah, some of those memories are repressed, but anyways, that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is I used to not like when she would put fake hair on my head, and she would do a bun, and then she would put a fake bun on my head, and I didn't like it. And she used to put this ribbon in my hair, and I didn't like it either. But since I went to Mexico 2 years ago, I've been feeling it. Probably not the fake hair, but these ribbons, they're growing on me. And look at that, isn't that so cute? I mean, I had a makeshift this side because the braid ended right here, because the 3 parts of my hair were not equally distributed, so one of them ended. So this was how tiny it was. So then I'm like, I gotta improvise. So then I made 3 strands from the remaining hair, because this one obviously made it to the bottom, so I had to. Just don't look at my dead ends because they're not pretty. And I'm starting to think maybe I should do my hairdo with ribbon. It's so cute. I'm gonna go to sleep like this, and I'm not gonna take it off. Tomorrow I'm gonna go with my mama, so she's gonna wake up and she's gonna be like, what the heck happened? And I'm just gonna be like, I woke up like this, bruh. And this, I got it in Mexico 2 years ago, and I didn't even remember it was Cinco de Mayo. And I was also like, oh, when it's Cinco de Mayo, I'll wear it. I'm always like, I'll buy a really pretty one, and then I'll wear it on these occasions. And there's parties that I've gone to that their theme is fiesta vibes, and I never wear it. Probably because I'm not in on the deets, So this time I was like, I'm gonna wear it. And I remembered it briefly, but then I forgot about it. And then we had a party to go to, and I was like, I saw my mom wear hers, and then I was like, oh, I want to wear mine too. But then I was like, but wait, what if the party isn't even cultured? And I was like, but they've had cultured parties before, so why not? So then I was like, but then again, maybe the kid, well, he's not a kid, he's 20, he turned 21 today. I was like, maybe he doesn't want a theme because he's older. And he hadn't had a party since like forever, so I'm like, he's growing out of, you know, stuff, so then maybe it's not even gonna be themed. We show up, nobody is dressed in this, nobody is dressed in like it's not cultured. And then I got so embarrassed. Like I was like, I covered myself up with my brown bag. I don't know if you've seen it before. Basically this, I was just like trying to make myself small. Like I didn't even have this. My hair was just loose, you know? And I was just like trying to cover, like, embarrassing because everybody was just wearing either black, white, or neutral colors. And then I was like, nobody's even wearing color. So what the heck am I doing? So then I took the opportunity to like go to the van and grab my sweater and like take this off. I know, sad, but I don't like to be attention, the center of attention. Like I like the attention and everything, but I don't like to be the attention, you know? Like I feel like I know when to stand out. That's a lie. I don't know when to stand out. I don't even know when to speak, but I do better when I'm like with one person or two people as opposed to like a group of people. I don't know where I'm going with this stuff. Like, I'm just going on tangents again. Like, that's just part of my nature. That's just part of my culture now. Tangents. This is Minnie Mouse necklace, by the way. Do you guys like my earrings? By the way, do they make me look more ethnic? Do I look Mexican to you? Do I look indigenous? Because I think I slightly am. My dad's grandpa. What am I saying? My mom tells me that my grandpa used to speak Purepecha, which is the language, the dialect spoken where they're from. And from my dad's side of the family, I'm not so sure that they know the dialect. I don't think they know the dialect. Or maybe they did. I just don't know about it. I would have to ask. But my dad's side of the family is like they grew up on the outskirts of like the big city. So they grew up like in the mountain. Well, it's not even a mountain, it's like a hill. Well, I guess you can call it I don't even know what it's called, honestly. But it's like going upward, you know, on a hill or something. Not a hill because a hill is small. Hill slash mountain. I kind of wish I had my grandparents around growing up. I think it would have been cool to pick up the dialect. My dad's side of the family does look a little bit indigenous. My dad looks slightly indigenous. My brother, my younger brother, the one that comes after me, when he was a kid, I think he might have like the factions. Is that a word? Las facciones, like the facial characteristics. But he kind of looks a little bit. I mean, his eyes are kind of like stretched, and some of my family members have their eyes kind of like stretched, kind of like, not trying to be racist or anything, I'm just trying to tell you, I don't know how to explain without crossing any boundary. kind of like stretched, and the skin, obviously brown skin, and yeah, my dad reminds me of Jackie Chan a lot. Um, I don't know why, and I think people have said that at some point before, and I think even he himself has said it. I don't think it's like 100%, but it like slightly reminds me of my dad. And yeah, and my aunts and my uncles from my dad's side of the family, they kind of have this way of talking. Um, they have like a different kind of slightly different accent than what my mom speaks. But my dad didn't pick it up very much. All of my aunts and uncles that live in Mexico, they kind of all sound similar. And I wish I could have picked it up, like the accent and everything. And I liked going to Mexico. I only went twice with my whole family. Well, not my whole family, that's a lie. I went to Mexico with half of my family twice. The first time, oh my god. It was like if I would have never had that experience before in my life, I probably never would have lived. And even now, how am I living? Because Mexico is so free. Well, of course, it comes with, I don't know. It's very hard because, if you live there and you work there, the money doesn't stretch. But if you come from the US to visit Mexico, then the money used to stretch a little bit more, but now it seems like the rate is kind of about the same. So then you think, then what's the point of coming here, thinking you're going on vacation and going to spend less, when in reality you're going to be spending about the same. Just considering the money, because obviously you go to Mexico to visit your families. Well, at least that's what we do. Yeah, a lot of yeah, majority of my family from my dad's side of the family is in Mexico. I have two uncles and one aunt that live here. And I have a couple cousins that live here from my dad's side of the family, and then it's us, and then just everybody else is in Mexico. And honestly, I don't even know who is the oldest person in my family from my dad's side of the family. Who is the youngest? I don't know. But anywho, yeah, my dad, that's why I think, what even is considered indigenous? So yeah, indigenous people are those descended from the earliest inhabitants of a particular region, though many also have non-indigenous ancestry. Indigenous people have contributed significantly to global culture and are diverse in language, race, and countries of origin. Okay, so I personally think that my family from my dad's side of the family, like his grandparents, and from both sides of his mom and dad sides, I think they all grew up there. Literally, I think all of that was just land before anything was even there. And I think it didn't start developing until like later. And then there was like this thing. I don't even understand the history 100%, but basically what I've put together in my head based off all the conversation I've listened in on is all of that land, people would fight for the land, and then some people were literally fooled into giving up their land or selling their land for tokens. And of course those tokens were like, oh wow, we're getting so much money, but in reality the land was so much more valuable than tokens, so a lot of people lost. And then other people were forced into it for peace, because they didn't want to fight the lands. And I think they gave my grandpa some land, because at some point I think they gave out land. So then on my grandpa's land, it's his house, and then my aunt used to live there. I don't know if she still lives there or not, or if she moved out, or I visited them, but I didn't get to catch up with them or anything. I had an aunt and an uncle, and their family lived together on the side. And then I had another aunt and uncle and some cousins living in another little like room. And then they built like this I want to say garage, but it's not a garage, like another part of the house. And another aunt and her kids live there now. Yeah, so basically, during my grandpa's time, they were fighting for lands, and or they were given lands, and or they were selling or buying lands. And also my grandpa, I guess they had given him land, and my mom's grandpa, and allegedly I might have mixed up stories or something, but on my mom's side of the family, my mom's grandpa was given land, and my mom says that he blew it basically on alcohol and drinking and probably gambling. And at one time I think he lost the house, or he sold it. He sold the land where they were living. Basically, I don't even think they had an actual house. I think she said she just had like laminate and then some walls of wood. But eventually something happened, and then the grandpa had my mom's mom living there with her kids. And then I think he came home and was like shooting like a gun, and telling everybody, kicking everybody out basically. And she said that was very traumatizing. I don't know if that gun was loaded. It probably was, but I mean, he wasn't like shooting at them, but like shooting to scare them. Probably blanks, maybe. I don't know. Allegedly. And then they kicked him out. Then my grandparents took their kids, and I don't know how they got the land that where my grandma lives now. but all of that land they started building up, and it's a big house, like a really big house. And I think it would have been bigger because I think last time I went to Mexico, I guess there was like this story, something about it continuing to the other side of the street, and then some shady stuff going on where they lost it or they got sold it or something. If it wasn't my grandma, it was probably like the neighbor or something. But it's very hard to keep up with these stories because it's so confusing when they're talking and you're just like, I don't even know what they're talking about. But yeah, basically. And my grandma, whenever I go, she always walks and there's like this little stump. She always remembers that. And I'm shocked because out of all the things that she doesn't remember, she remembers that little stump. And she's like, she stops there and then she puts her walker over the stump and then she like feels for the stump and then she walks over it. And I'm like, dang. And after that, she goes through that little stump. She'll be like, y este es el corral de las bestias. And then I'm like, at first I was like, what? Like, that doesn't sound that sounds scary. But basically what she meant was, this is the corral of like the animals, the wild animals. And which is like things like donkeys, horses, bull. I don't think there was bulls, but maybe cows, because my grandpa had cows. My grandpa had cows, and I remember I went with him to go milk cows. I didn't drink any milk, but I don't think it does any good to drink milk like that if you didn't grow up drinking milk like that. So even if I did drink, even if like I just don't like milk, so I wouldn't have anyway. But anyways, yeah, I went with them. I remember we rode in the back of the truck and it was windy and cold. And I went with my grandma, my grandpa, and my dad and me. And then my my grandpa had invited my dad. He was like, "Hey, you want to go milk cows tomorrow?" And my dad was like, "Yeah." And then I went and I milked a cow. Um, and I got freaked out because I felt like the cow was like gonna kick me, and I was just like standing there like all stiff, like when are we leaving? And we went also with my cousin, and my cousin's so cool. He was so cool with my grandpa. It was like they had a real good connection, and um it was nice. And we played dominoes. My grandpa liked playing dominoes, and my grandpa passed away a long time ago. um but yeah, I just wanted to mention that. That was just my grandma. She's like 92, 93 years old. I think she's gonna be 94 this year. But anyways, my cousin, he would like sit there and play dominoes with my grandpa, and then at one point I started joining them. Then my dad played too, and I'm gonna cry. My grandpa used to speak Purepecha, and he used to call me something, but I honestly don't even remember, because then he said, at some point I asked him like, what did he say? And then, or my mom told me like, ask him what he's saying. And then I was like, what did he say? And he said, um it means flower in Purepecha. And I couldn't remember it for the life of me, but it was always like something I remembered, like, oh, my grandpa used to call me this. Not that I remember what he said, but my grandpa used to call me like a special thing in a different language, is what I remember. And then at some point I was like, well, how do you say flower in Purepecha? And then I searched it up on Google. And then I guess it's tzatziki. I might be wrong. But pronunciation T-S-I T-S-I-K-I. Tzatziki. And then at some point I think nichim meant something too. I think it means flower too, but in a different dialect. Okay, so yeah, basically it is spelled the way that I believe is spelled. Spanish too. Yeah, Spanish. Let's do Spanish. I found a translator. TSI with like 2 dots over it. TSI with 2 dots over it. KI. Huge eran haskani eskatatima wanikwa tzitziki sesi harhatichani ikarasinga hadiniru. There was like a translator, like the Google Translator has like the option for you to hear it. Tzatziki. Yeah. I'm assuming that's what my grandpa called me. And in my yearbook, for the senior quote, my quote was based on, I try to figure out how to like do something meaningful, Okay, well, this was it. Don't laugh. Let me try to remember it first. Okay, I remembered. So it's levanta la cabeza que tu corona se cae. Tzatziki. So basically that's like me thinking that my grandpa's saying this to me, specifically to me, and the fact that it's in dialect makes it like addressed specifically to me. Like nobody knows except for me, So yeah. What else? I've always been like very intrigued with like the languages. How come I never really got into Purepecha? It's because I feel like it's very difficult and it's like not very known. So, and dialect is specific to like a region maybe, or like a specific area, and it can vary. So I guess you could say there's like large amount of dialect within Mexico. So it would be difficult to figure out like, are you studying the right one? Or like, what if you're studying one thing and then on Google you try to figure out how to say another thing, and then it pops up for a different dialect, so it's not understood and translated the same way. So that's what I mean. Okay, because basically, remember when I said nichim is probably another way of saying flower? Well, I guess it's a different Spanish, a different dialect, because it does say here, it repeats here, it's Tzotzil, Tzottzil. So maybe that's like a different language. I would have to do more research on it, but yeah, because I think it started with French, like learning French, and then I was like, whoa, like French is so cool, like I should learn Spanish. Scratch that. I've known Spanish since I was a baby. Okay. Here's the thing. Okay, English I think is like my strongest language. I can read, write, think in it. Spanish, I can think in it, I can write it, and I can speak it, but very mucho. Like very all over the place. And that's kind of sad because considering that that was like my first language, and Spanish is like my forte, but you can't blame me because I mean, yeah, I spoke Spanish with my parents and then at home and then whenever translating and stuff. But I don't know what it was. Like I didn't really learn it like I did English, like proper English. I didn't learn it, and there's a lot of things that I didn't know the words for. So like if you were like this, if you had asked me as a kid, what is this? I would have been like, I've never heard the word before, so I can't tell you. And I don't even think my mom knows, or like, you know, like, how do I say this? For example, and then on top of that, we learn Spanish from here. Now, my mom is Mexican, my parent is Mexican, but they came here at a very young age, so then they learned the Spanish from here, so then the Spanish from here is a little bit different. It kind of, it's like Spanglish. So, for example, what are some words? La troca. La troca is not exactly a word in Mexico. Okay, so I guess by now I think it might be a word in Mexico because of how much it's used, but basically I don't think troca a long time ago was actually the word for truck. It's like mixing truck and camioneta, troca, like the ending of camioneta, troca, o troque, or okay, here's some good ones. Okay, chequear, tengo que chequear. I've been told that chequear, like what is chequear? Lonchear, voy a tomar mi lonche, lunch. Googlear. Okay, let's see. Typear, type an email. Okay, parqueadero, the parking space. Yeah, I talk Spanglish to my mom now because it is very frustrating when I'm trying to have a conversation with her. And I think part of what this motivated me to talk Spanish too is because my mom would like get mad at me. She's like, habla bien. And I'm like, I give up because I didn't know how to express myself. And sometimes I do realize like I'll be talking and she just loses interest because I don't know the proper terminology. And that's why I've started to use Spanglish because in some shape, way, or form, she might understand. Bloquear, like lock something up. Or sometimes I'll ask my mom, Ma, ¿cómo se dice jump in Spanish? En español. And then she'll be like, ¿yo qué voy a saber? But sometimes I just do it to be funny. But no, yeah, I'm really trying to work on my Spanish and like conversate in Spanish because it is sad and like I have trouble expressing myself as is. So expressing myself in Spanish is very complicated because you know, but the reasons I just mentioned. Okay, and Okay, so yeah, so that's my um. There's some people that I talk to in Spanish, and it's kind of nice because I'm like, you're so patient, and you're not judging me, so and you're actually listening to me, so um, it's nice to feel like, oh wow, like I know two languages and I'm speaking in one right now. But I would like to be a little bit better speaking Spanish. Do you guys know that I think the pelirroja, that girl that's like redheaded, well, not naturally redheaded, but you don't need to know that. But her hair is redhead, and and her Spanish is so good, probably better than mine. Like I can talk Spanish good until it doesn't sound good. Sorry guys, I'm a fraud. But let me tell you, if you need to translate something, I can figure it out. I can figure out ways to tell you how to translate. So instead of using like the actual word, I'll go around it and I'll like link examples or so that they can understand, which is kind of smart in a way, using my intelligence to the next level, I guess. But anyways, besides that, I learned French. I did French for 4 years, and I was like, wow, this is like Spanish. But see, the thing that I don't like about this, like the structure of learning the language in a school, is the fact that you're being graded as opposed to like actually just doing it to enjoy it. So that kind of threw me off because I was like, I'm not good at. Well, I would like be able to pass the test with flying colors, but when it came to actually speaking it, I think I learned more from singing French than not singing French, than writing it down. But I guess writing it down, writing words down, like repetition of like vocabulary words does help. But like, oh, like conjugate, and you don't really need that to actually communicate. Like, have you realized it? Like, some people, they talk very mucho, like I do, in other languages, and they're understood pretty well. Like, they find other ways of explaining. And I'm like, why couldn't it be that way since the very beginning? Also, Italian. I I kind of learned some Italian at some point, but mainly just like music and songs. And I found it very interesting, like how certain words, how certain letters were actually had different phonics, had different sounds. Like I believe, what was it? The CIO, it's like chill, like chocolate, cioccolato. The CH is actually just one C, spelled S, CIO, da 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 da, to make the ch sound. But then if you have two CCs, I think that's a different sound. And then, I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. And, what else was there? And it was very fun and challenging when I'd be like reading like the karaoke, or not the karaoke, the lyrics of the song. I'm like, oh, like I learned it so quick. I was like, I can sing any Italian song now. Just kidding. Rolling my R's in French was probably the toughest. Probably the thing that dismotivated me a little bit, not being able to roll my R's. Pourquoi? But now I know. Um, Buonanotte. Ragazzo. Io sono fiore. I don't know. I can't get like the accent. What is it? Yeah, the accent in Italian. Not very good. What else? Oh, and then the sign language. I find sign language very interesting. I don't know what it is. Like just like seems very logical, very straightforward. Like this translates to this, this to this, this to this. I probably should have been like a translator or something. But to stick to one specific one, what is a polyglot? Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm not a polyglot, but I'm like 3% polyglot. I mean, it's better than 0, right? Am I a polyglot if I speak 3 to 5 languages? Yes. It would be cool if I had been a polyglot. I'm bilingual and slightly off task. Oh yeah, and then there's the thing that's interesting is that even within, okay, let me tell you, the Spanish languages from Mexico, Colombia, maybe Peru, or like the Spanish speaking countries, Argentina, they all have, Spain, they have their own Spanish, like their not slogans, what are they called? Their own slang. But even within like the words, they could have the same words, but different meaning. So for example, there's somebody that told me, okay, torta. Torta in Mexico is basically like a Subway, like a sandwich. It could be made out of ham, or it can be made out of frijoles con queso, my favorite. But that's not the point. The point is that torta means like a sandwich in Mexico, but in Argentina, torta means like a cake. Or it could also mean like a cake in Mexico, depending on the context, you know. And tortilla in Mexico is basically the tortilla that you guys probably know, like, you know, flour tortilla, small circle, flat bread. Okay, tortilla in Argentina is a like something with potato. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's see what else. Okay, so I'm just reading one. I was gonna share it, but I think I'm not going to because it's not appropriate. There's a lot of these. Okay, so that's that. I can't find any, I can't think of any at the top of my head, but basically other words that have different meaning have also some words have different ways of saying the same thing. So basically like choclo is corn, which is maíz or elote, and then there's palta in Argentina is aguacates in Mexico. Ducha, which means shower in Argentina, which means bañar in Mexico. But a lot of the terminology is like very, very interchangeable. You'd be able to understand, basically. But some of the words are just like, what? Like when I heard that, that palta was avocado. I mean, that avocado was palta. I was like, that is so weird. Like, who says that? And Yeah. Oh, and there's a bad word in Mexico that in Argentina is not exactly a bad word. Like they use it usually. You know, it's like a usual kind of thing, like a whatever kind of thing. Um yeah, so basically language is very interesting and I like it, and I can't learn it traditionally um or else. Um you just need to be exposed. I think that that's what it is. You just need the exposure. And I think what could have helped me learn Spanish more was if my mom actually talked to me in Spanish more. Well, obviously she does, and she did, and she always will. But I don't know what I'm saying. I mean, maybe I should have taken Spanish classes because I already knew Spanish. I just needed to figure out how. I think this is what it is. I think you need to learn the language first, and then you learn rules and whatever. Because learning the rules and stuff, like what the heck? Like how do you know? You know? Just kidding. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. It's just tangents and just my head talking. Yeah, I think having being exposed, just talking to somebody without thinking about if you're saying it right or wrong for a grade. Kind of like, yeah, because I think I learned French a little bit quicker after I realized I could follow along to like a song than trying to remember all these rules and stuff. Um, and I feel like if I knew enough vocabulary, I can start like communicating, even if it was just child's level, but I would be able to communicate with somebody else in French and understand them too, because sometimes I struggle understanding. I haven't gotten back into like the language stuff, like the the French music and the Italian music, but maybe I should. And also that, oh yeah, I remember that book I showed you. Probably not because I didn't upload the video, but there was a book and book that I liked at a school, and what do you know? I found it in the bookstore at my local bookstore, but I didn't buy it because first of all, it had Mr. Jones written all over it, like literally on the binding. It's a Mr. whatever the name was. I was like, I mean, I wouldn't mind like a tattered, battered, beaten up book, but the fact that it had somebody's name on it, I was like, I don't know about that. Um, and then the book costing half as much as what it originally cost. I think the book cost like $14, 15, 16. I don't know. ¿Qué? No, estoy dormida. No, pues, pues no es nadie. No, no, no abras. Vete a dormir. No, no, no. Ve, es privacidad. Déjame. No.